Poor Mark Dara opened up a can of worms on himself when he told the community that he would answer questions about Anthem. Little did he know that a week later, people would still be asking them after the Q&A's over. So Mark, if you're watching this, then thank you, my man, and I'm also sorry. Anyways, this is the Anthem news update for the week of June 17th. Kick back, relax, and let's get this bad boy started. Ladies and gentlemen of the Freelancer Nation, what is going on, y'all? Sly here, back at it with another Anthem news update for you guys. Now, E3 is over. We've pulled out, summarized, scraped together just about everything we could about Anthem. However, with some tidbits still floating around out there, and with Mark Dara still answering tons of questions about Anthem, new stuff continues to pop up. Take that, along with some recent articles, and there's a lot of news to go over. So, let's do exactly that. Now, usually, guys, when I make an update video, I try to group topics together so it just kind of flows better. But here, things are just all over the place and about everything. I group up what I can, but some things just don't fit. So I'm going to go down the list of these tweets and everything else and talk about them separately. So it might be a little annoying, but hang in there. We will definitely try to get through it. Alright, y'all, so starting off the end game. Like Destiny's 6-player raids and the Division's up-and-coming 8-player raids, we were wondering if Anthem will have something similar. Well, so far, the campaign, quest, strongholds, raids, and dungeons, if they exist, will all be 4 players maximum. You can kind of group that in the endgame. Now, on the same page here, BioWare is currently not talking about endgame content or even hinting at anything, at least for now. So we won't know if anything will change at a later date, but just know that 4 players seem to be the max for the open world, the campaign, and as you can see on screen, the endgame activities. Also, while we're talking about the campaign, just to reassure those out there who have not heard yet, Anthem was specifically developed so that you can 100% solo the game without ever needing to step foot into co-op or multiplayer matchmaking. Now again, BioWare has said that the game is best experienced with a team, and it'll also be much easier with friends. Nevertheless, if you want to hermit out, dim the lights, set your profile to offline, and do everything in single player, you can absolutely do that. However, Anthem is a connected game, and with that, it's an online game, so a connection to the internet is a must, or you will not be able to play it. Alright, so moving on here, let's talk about pre-ordering, guys. Pre-orders, they really are no longer here for the reason they were created, right? I mean, back in the day, games used to sell out instantly. Pre-ordering solved that problem, so you had something, waiting for you when you got there. Well, now they're pretty much just a gimmick, but people still love them. So far, there are only 2 editions announced for Anthem. There's the Standard Edition, and then there's the Legion of Dawn Edition. Now, hardcore BioWare fans were hoping for some kind of collector's edition for Anthem, but we now know that so far, nothing of the sort is planned. Currently, there are just 2 editions that exist, and it seems that a collector's edition will not be in the works, at least not for this release. If anything changes, I will be sure to yodel it out to everyone. The best way to stay on top of that is through Twitter. Alright, y'all, next up, let's talk about settings and customization. First, colorblind mode. For the colorblind freelancers out there, Anthem will be supporting colorblind modes. It's been a huge request this past week, and I'm happy to hear that it will be included. Also, when talking about customizing, I just recently found out that not only will our javelins level up and have upgrades, but our characters, the freelancers themselves, will also have upgrades available as well. In fact, flying and swimming are a freelancer perk and not a javelin perk, so I thought that was actually pretty cool. BioWare keeps pressing the amount of customization options, saying that there is an insane amount available. And with 2 separate things to upgrade, I can see that we're going to be able to get pretty specific how and when we spec out our freelancer and javelins. Now, concerning the character creator and customizing the suit in yourself, so far there will be no body customization allowed. Only the hair and face will be available to personalize. Now for the javelin, there will be tons of different armor pieces to equip and of course upgrades, so I suspect lots of variety there, especially when we get to crafting. But now we also have a better idea about how shaders will work. Apparently, instead of just one complete shader for the entire suit, kind of like how shaders worked in the original Destiny, our javelins will have different areas that can be shaded. Not just, for instance, the helmet, chest, arms, or legs, but some of these areas combined into one. We're not sure how many areas exist, at least not right now, but it is cool that we now know shaders aren't just a preset look. Like if you apply this shader, then your entire suit turns this color. You can actually mix and match multiple different styles. Add that to all the crafting, the mods, upgrades, and different armor pieces we're going to be able to get, and I'm hoping for lots and lots of variety. Next up, another setting that's been a huge request this past week, and also I found this on the Anthem Universe Discord, which I thought was hilarious: damage numbers. Ever since the E3 trailer and my close-up view of live gameplay at EA Play, we've seen that damage numbers in Anthem are quite distracting, and at certain times just way too big. Well, the devs at BioWare are working on a setting so you can either make the text smaller or completely turn it off. Since it's still a work in progress, we're not sure what the outcome will ultimately be, but just know that there will be a fix for those big damage numbers. Alright y'all, so next we're going to be talking about some recent news involving game mechanics like super recharge, trading, speeds, health, etc. But first, there are some random bits of information that really don't fit in anywhere else, so let's get those out of the way first. And one of those, eating. Now, I don't know how this started, but for some reason, there's like this huge discussion going on about our characters being able to eat in-game. Now, it probably spawned in from Monster Hunter, but either way, eating is not a gameplay mechanic within Anthem. So hopefully, your mind can now be put to ease. Next up, emotes. It is confirmed that emotes will definitely be in the game. Also, pets, friendly animals. There will be no pets within Anthem, and friendly animals only exist within Animal Crossing. Anthem's animals will eat you. Please don't feed the lizards. Next up, developer diaries. Apparently, BioWare has ambitions to create some more intimate looks at developers within Anthem, and more importantly, its creators. BioWare has always been great about publishing behind the scenes looks type of videos, and it sounds like Anthem will be no different. And I absolutely, guys, I love this kind of thing. Developer diaries and commentary about the game coming from the mouth of the creators is always something I found interesting. Hopefully they come out sooner rather than later. And moving on to the last thing here, my question. I asked Mark if there were any opportunities for out-of-suit situations. Now, I know you're out of suit in Fort Tarsus, and you cannot roam around the open world without your suit, but I was hoping of some kind of endgame scenario, like where your suit breaks down, and you have to defend a point with just the weapon that you ripped off of your javelin, and no powers until it's fixed. But that wasn't answered, and so far, all signs point to hell no. But also, I have a theory about our javelin suits being either connected to the world, or that the reason why freelancers are quote-unquote unique and the only ones with the ability to pilot our suits is because of some kind of special connection to either the Anthem of Creation or Shaper Tech that exists all around us. So I asked if the suits were based off of Shaper technology, and I was told that I would find that out in-game. I knew that was coming, but I figured I would try anyway. Alright dudes and chicas, next up let's talk about some new news concerning more in-game things. First up, trading. Now, I'm not really a big fan of trading or just handing out free loot to people because at first it breaks progression. If you don't want to level up, you can just have your friends get everything for you, hand them over, and then, there goes your item level. And it can also be used to create a sort of black market where people will actually pay real money for in-game items. The Division handled trading in a very awesome and smart way, and that system I personally love. But so far, there is no trading of any kind within Anthem. Whether or not it'll be added later, we're not sure. Moving on here, let's talk about loot drops. So I think there's a little confusion for some people on how loot will work in Anthem. Since there's level scaling within Anthem, meaning the world will change depending on your level, that throws some people off who are used to traditional open world games. So loot is going to be instanced for every player. That means the loot you receive is pretty much how Destiny handles it. Every player will have loot based on their own level. Even if you're a low level and your friends are all, max level and you're in the same group, you guys will all receive different loot. Because remember, the world scales to your level when you play. Even if you join up with max level characters, everybody sees enemies differently depending on your level. The enemies you see will always be within your range, so loot will drop according to that. Now the rarity of loot will be decided by the activity that you play and the kind of enemies that you're fighting. Like for instance, a boss fight at the end of a story mission probably won't drop you loot that's as good as, say, a stronghold boss. Now we are still a little light on endgame details, but since I'm assuming you have to clear the campaign or be a certain level to unlock endgame stuff, the loot that drops with it probably has requirements as well. Hopefully we will learn more about endgame details in the weeks and months to come. Now speaking of loot, and while we're on the topic, one thing that always kept me coming back to games like Destiny and The Division were the hard to find and hard to earn super rare items located within the endgame, exotics and named items, stuff like that. Well, rest easy my friends, because it is confirmed that Holy Grail type weapons will be in the game. And from what the word is on the street, some of them are extremely hard to acquire, something I am pretty excited about. Now, as far as modding weapons and if weapons will rise with you, we're still a little light on those details as well, as you can see here in this tweet. But I did read an article, however, that said there's a point where older weapons and armor will end up dragging you down, and you'll have to acquire new ones, to continue up, or perhaps break down the old ones you have into crafting materials and maybe make yourself a new weapon. While I was at EA Play, I saw a sneak peek at one of the in-game menus, and crafting is definitely in the game. And best of all, it can be done within the Strider as well, because that's where I saw the menu to begin with. Hopefully, older loot will not just be something thrown away and wasted. I'm really hoping that our older, most cherished items that are now useless will still end up being extremely useful even towards the end as we break them down. And I mean that as in they will help you out by dropping rare crafting materials or other needed in-game items. Okay, so as we start winding down the video, let's hit on the last couple tidbits of news. First up, checkpoints. There will be a sort of checkpoint system within Anthem. We'll hit on health here next, but if you end up going down, you really don't die. Apparently, you will stay there waiting for someone to pick you up indefinitely. Kind of like The Division, you end up crawling around waiting for a revive, except this makes it sound like you just keep staying there unless someone picks you up, which sounds kind of odd. Anyways, if everyone else is down or the team is too busy, you can respawn yourself, but it will bring you back to something called a resupply point. So it sounds like there is a kind of checkpoint system in the game. Once again, we're not sure about in-game activities. So this is kind of reassuring that since this world is so massive that you don't have to go back from the beginning, fly your way back through everything, and just redo it all. Because from what I saw in the game, just this small activity was absolutely huge. So I can imagine, the bigger ones out there. So having checkpoints will really, really help you out. All right, moving on here. Next up, let's talk about travel speed. So with the Colossus being a huge, heavy, tanky beast and the Interceptor built like a race car, one would think that they would fly at different speeds, right? Well, yes and no. When you're out of combat, all javelins will fly at the same speeds. This will keep groups from splitting apart and starting stuff before the rest of the team even gets there. So I can totally agree with that. However, once you're in combat, this rule is turned off and each javelin will have a unique feel to them, and this is also where you can start to notice the speed differences between them. The Interceptor and Storm will move much faster in combat than the Ranger and Colossus. It's just that when you're out of combat, all javelins will move at the same pace. And finally, freelancers, the last piece of news we're going to talk about today, Super Recharge. At first, we weren't sure if supers recharge themselves passively at the same speed, or if one, javelin charged faster than the other, or perhaps even if killing charges them like Destiny does. Well, while we're still not sure if faster javelins also have faster ability recharge, or if perhaps that's a modification, but in any case, supers or ultimates do in fact have an active charging system. Now, it's still being tuned by the developers, but as it stands right now, supers regen by the amount of damage being dealt. So basically, the more you shoot and the more you use your abilities, the faster your ultimates will be ready. It sounds like it's not quite set in stone, but either way, it is a new piece of info and something that I was also curious about myself. But that is about it, fellow freelancers. I can't imagine that Mark will continue to keep answering questions day in and day out until the game comes out. So expect those to end soon. But nonetheless, if there are new pieces of information to report on, or if news happens, then you are in the right place to find out about it. Once again, thank you all so much for watching and for supporting the channel. Feel free to check me out on Twitter or Facebook, Sly Nation on Twitter, Sly Nation Gaming on the FB. Take care, ladies and gentlemen. Subscribe for tons more Anthem, Destiny 2 Forsaken, and Division 2 content. Spank the thumbs up only if you see fit, and comment down below if you are excited by the news, or if you just want to say what's up. Later, y'all, and keep those eyes open for more Anthem videos coming out here soon. But until then, this is your dude Sly, and I will catch the Freelancer Nation next time.